Hello, it is Sheena here from Teton Raptor Center, and I am here to give you this week's patient update, so let's go ahead and get started. First up this week is Golden Eagle 11-1. This bird came in from Twin Falls, Idaho, and actually has no physical injuries, but is dealing with lead toxicosis or lead poisoning. So essentially that just means that this bird has scavenged on a carcass that was likely shot with lead fragments. And those lead fragments, once ingested, have been absorbed into the body, the bloodstream, and the bone, and are causing a poisoning event. So typically with lead poisoning, birds have a really hard time being able to stand, and they end up with a lot of neurological symptoms. They're really dull and lethargic, and when we tested this bird's blood on our machine in our lab, the lead blood level was so high that our machine couldn't even read it. And so what we do for that is we treat patients with lead poisoning by chelation treatment. And that is an injectable medication that a bird receives twice a day with fluids, which helps rid the body of those heavy metals. So here in this second picture, you can see after just 1 day of treatment on this medication, now this bird is able to stand with the help of those custom shoes. Next up, we've got Barn Owl 1031 from Monteview, Idaho. And this bird came in as a young baby bird. It's not very common for birds to nest this late in the year. They typically nest in spring or summer. And barn owls in particular tend to have a second clutch, meaning they raise their babies once, and then after their babies are old enough and have fledged the nest, they actually will often lay eggs again and have a second clutch of babies. And so this is a very late in the year clutch. And unfortunately, when you deal with that kind of time frame, it's not the most successful time of year to have babies. And unfortunately, this little guy or girl's siblings have all passed away. And it's hard out there with the temperature changes. It's really cold. There's now snow on the ground out here. But we are going to help out this little guy, get him old enough where he's flying on his own, make sure he can hunt, and then get him back out to the wild. Here we have Turkey Vulture 1025 from Rock Springs, Wyoming. This is another young bird, very late in the year, and unfortunately also came into our clinic with a really high lead level in his blood. Our machine read it as 60 micrograms per deciliter, which is really high. Typically, birds tend to need treatment if their blood lead level is over 20 micrograms per deciliter. Or of course, if it's under 20 and they're still showing really clinical symptoms and they're really symptomatic, then of course we will provide treatment for them. But this young bird is also part of that lead issue. And so if you don't already know, you should look up our Sporting Lead-Free program and initiative that we've launched through Teton Raptor Center, just encouraging hunters to still be able to put food on their table, but use non-lead alternatives. The next bird we're covering this week is Great Gray Owl 10-4 from Kilgore, Idaho. And this bird came in due to a barbed wire fence entanglement and was dealing with a lot of soft tissue wounds. Luckily, all of those have resolved, and this bird is back in the flight barn flying again. Last but not least, for the birds we're covering in this week's update is Bald Eagle 721. This bird came in from Jackson as a young bird back in July, and unfortunately is not going to be a candidate for release. So we've decided to proceed with the paperwork to get this bird transferred to an educational facility where she can be on display and teach people about conservation and bald eagles. Unfortunately, she is a non-flighted bird, or actually she's a semi-flighted bird, so she can fly a little bit, but not enough to go back to the wild. And so that's why we're proceeding with this transfer. All right, that's all we've got for this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed learning more about our birds. Remember that if you want to do your part to help keep wild birds wild, you can check out our website at tetonraptorcenter.org and make a donation. You can also click the link in the description below, and that will take you right to our donate page. Bye!